For some Australians, it's been more than 2 years since they've seen family and friends from abroad. Now, Australia has reopened its borders to international visitors as it eases its tough coronavirus controls. Fully vaccinated arrivals to most states will no longer need to quarantine for weeks in hotels. Journalist Danielle Robertson was at Sydney's International Airport to capture some emotional reunions.
After enduring some of the strictest COVID border rules in the world, Australia has begun its final plan out of the pandemic. Tourists are now welcomed back into the country after nearly 2 years, a relief for family and friends torn apart by separation. Any fully vaccinated international traveller from all over the globe will now be allowed to enter Australia, meaning migrants with family members can be reunited and temporary visa holders can travel freely. More than 50 international flights will land across the capital cities in the first 24 hours, and airports have already been filled with tears of joy as people fly into the airport and straight into the arms of loved ones.
So good, because I've missed him so much. And I've been looking forward to this trip for so long.
COVID kept us apart, and we're thrilled to be back together.
I call Australia home, and I'm so happy to be back, yeah.
It's exciting to be out here. I'm so excited, for sure.
I'm meeting Mum, and then headed home to my family and friends and all the babies that have been born that I haven't met for the last 2 years.
The only state or territory international travellers aren't permitted to enter is Western Australia, which brings down its hard border on March 3. All international arrivals will be required to have COVID-related documents like vaccination certificates and a proof of a negative test. This is expected to be a major boost to the tourism industry that once pre-pandemic was worth more than 70 billion euros to the economy. Tourism also a pivotal factor for many businesses to survive. The country, known for locking people in and out of the country, now has a new message: welcome back. But this grand opening will take some time to help the tourism industry get back on their feet, with operators preparing for a slow stream of arrivals rather than a huge influx all at once. Overall, this is being seen as a positive step and one that has been welcomed by all those who have, over the last 2 years, missed pivotal life moments due to the strict border rules. Now that the hard border has come down, the overall sentiment is one of relief and celebration.
And from Sydney, I'm joined now by journalist Roger Maynard. Roger, what exactly do the new regulations mean for travellers?
Well, Terry, this was certainly a big day for Australia, which has been effectively closed to the outside world for the past 2 years. Although Australian citizens and permanent residents have been allowed to come and go on a limited basis, most international tourists have been barred from entering Australia because of the pandemic. Now, today all that changed with the border being reopened to foreign travellers as long as they are fully vaccinated against the virus, although the unvaccinated will still have to quarantine for up to 14 days. Some 50 overseas airlines were due to land today, and passengers who arrived in Sydney this morning were welcomed back with signs declaring "Welcome back world" and Australians in kangaroo costumes. Some were handed stuffed koalas in the arrivals hall, and others got jars of a quaintly named Australian foodstuff called Vegemite, which is quite popular here. And of course, there are lots of family reunions. It's not only tourists who've been trying to get into Australia, but relatives of people who live here, as well as migrants, backpackers, and international students. Terry.
Now, a good chunk of Australia's economy is based on tourism. How badly has the pandemic affected the sector, and what are its prospects for recovery now?
Yeah, tourism is worth the equivalent of more than $40 billion a year to the economy. And without visitors, the holiday industry has been in crisis for the past 2 years. Normally, it supports some 300,000 businesses and employs more than 600,000 workers. Of course, it won't return to normal overnight. Tourism chiefs here reckon it'll take around 2 years for the industry to get back on its feet. And there is still an underlying fear in some countries that Australia could reimpose border restrictions if there's a new and more deadly wave of the virus. But for the moment, today's news is a huge relief to Australia's hard-hit tourism industry. Domestic tourism has just about survived on local visitors, but the big money comes from European, American and Asian holidaymakers who've been invisible here during the past couple of years. Right. Now, today's announcement follows health advice which revealed a continuing decline in COVID case numbers. While there are still thousands of people going down with the Omicron strain, they are not so badly affected as those who caught Delta. So,
all good
okay,
news.
for the time being, anyway.
Yeah,
Thank
great.
you.
Roger, thank you so much. Roger Maynard there in Sydney.
Thank you.